Overcoming depression. That's what we're doing. Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. I'm so excited that you've joined me today. We are talking about overcoming depression and how energy healing is going to do that. So before we get started, like, subscribe, share this video if you have somebody who is depressed and that they're having a really hard time overcoming it. Now, I know just from personal experience that there are tons of reasons why you can be depressed. So not one situation or one scenario is equal or the same to somebody else's situation or scenario. So I understand that these are all different. But if you use these techniques, you can overcome it and you can get rid of it. This is what I use to get rid of my depression. We're going to start first that I want to mention the 5-step video. If you haven't already seen that, that's going to give you kind of the foundation to understand the steps of what we're doing. So step 1, we're going to be very specific. And I understand that there's a lot of reasons as to why you can be depressed, but we're going to just pick one for right now. I really love how Tony Robbins explains that we have rules and that we put meanings behind those rules, or that we put meanings behind life experiences. So for me, when I started having kids, I wanted things a specific way. I thought that was the right way. The thing that was skewered in my mind was it was completely unrealistic. It wasn't even achievable. I thought I had to have this brand new baby. The baby had to be quiet when we were in social situations, or I don't go out, and because that drew attention to me, and I didn't want attention drawn to me. And then it was, aren't you an unfit mother because you have this screaming child? That's completely unrealistic. Babies are going to cry. Kids are going to cry. And so when I would go out and this kid would cry, or my baby would cry, I would completely freak out, and I would think, well, then I can't go anywhere because he's going to cry. Now, I knew in my head it was completely unrealistic, but it was a rule that was in my head that I had somewhere picked up. I don't know where. But then I had placed a meaning on that rule, and therefore, because there was this rule, I needed to have a perfect child, and I needed to look a certain way, and I needed to act a certain way. Therefore, we could not leave the house because there was no way to accomplish that. So do you see how our rules and what we put to these meanings with these rules about how they can really skewer our view of what life is supposed to be like? So that was one way that depression was really setting in, because I had all these rules that didn't make any sense. So if that really resonates with you, then start with those rules. Start with those things that you really notice that you're going, I have this rule now, and that's completely unrealistic. Now, the way the energy work played into this is, just because I understood that I needed to change my perspective doesn't mean that was just easily done. So what I would do is I would pick that perspective that I recognized was quite skewered and wasn't really even rational. And I washed, which is the second step, I washed this down the drain. And I would say, okay, this level of perfection is not realistic. And I noticed on top of that level of perfection was also anxiety, which I think is pretty common to have depression with anxiety. They kind of go together, and I think they fuel each other. So I would watch this expectation go down the drain. And then as it was going down the drain, I would thank it because it was trying to give me what I thought I wanted. But then I would forgive myself to say, I don't need that anymore. I forgive myself, which is the third step. I thank it. I forgave it. Then that brings me to the 4th step. And this is a little different. In the 5-step video, we technically say put a positive towards it and what the opposite is. Now, what I would do for this situation is I actually figured out, well, then what is my new rule? What is it that I want? Okay, I want to be able to leave the house, but I have this weird view of reality that this is not possible. Okay, so now I've removed that. What is it that I want? And I'll be really honest that this took me a while to figure out, because I knew what I didn't want and I knew what I felt was expected of me, but I actually didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what made me happy. I didn't know this. So this took me a little bit of time to figure out, but I promise it did come. And the more I removed these rules and these meanings that I had put behind it and these expectations that frankly maybe I hadn't started them, but I had definitely accepted them into my life. And once I gave those up, I thought, okay, I'm going to let that go. And then we hit the fourth step, which is, what do I want? Now we get to the fifth stage, which is repeat this. And this is probably going to be something you're going to find. You're going to have a lot of rules in your way of thinking in your subconscious because your parents had rules, society has rules. So I trust this video was really helpful. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below about what are some of the rules that you guys found that you had, because I had some pretty crazy ones. I mean, it just got insane what I was expecting myself to do. And until next time, bye guys.